This session is going to consider the logical levels of change and learning and its use in mentoring. The objectives are that by the end of this session, you'll be able to identify the logical levels of learning and change, assess the uses of logical levels in mentoring, and evaluate the use of logical levels in other areas of development. This session is going to look at Robert Dilts's logical levels of learning and change. This model owes its origins to Russell's work on logical types. He was thinking about levels of abstraction. And Gregory Bateson took this further to consider levels of learning. And to find out more about that, you may want to visit the website link on the slide. As a result of Bateson's work, Dilts was able to develop the logical levels of learning and change. The logical levels of learning and change can help in many situations where change is wanted or taking place. The first level is that of the environment. That is, change outside the person. The when and the where that something is done. I remember working with a manager whose office was a long way away from the rest of his team. And one of the things he did to bring about change in the workplace was to move his office so that it was much closer to the others. This resulted in him being consulted by the team more and him actually consulting them more. So if you were mentoring a leader, maybe in order to bring about change, he or she may decide to have, instead of having team meetings, which were largely about where they did presentations, to change it to asking questions of the team and getting ideas from them how to move forward. This would be an example of change at a behavioural level, about when you change things that you do. The next level is that of capability. This is about how a person does something. So if you were doing a mentoring session and as part of that someone reflecting on their outcomes had decided that they'd like to learn how to manage team dynamics at a meeting, then they would be looking at changing their capabilities. Then there is the level of values and beliefs. If you remember, values are what is important to us and how we evaluate what's right or wrong, and beliefs are things that we hold to be true. This is about why. If someone changes their values or beliefs about something, then to bring about alignment, they will want to change their capabilities, their behaviours, and their external environment. So if you're mentoring someone about getting the best from their team, and they change their belief that as a leader, I have to come up with all the answers, to my team are resourceful and creative people who have contributions to make to ideas and actions that we take, this will bring about change, and probably in all the levels below as well. The next is identity. This is about who. This is about the sense of who we are. Mentoring issues at this level will be about the person's role or sense of self. So if someone changes at identity level, it could be, for example, that they move from I am the authority to I am a facilitator. And as soon as you think of yourself in different ways, then all of the levels below you will want to change in order to create alignment. And lastly, there is vision. This is about how the person fits into the rest of the system. This is about for whom or for what. Mentoring issues around this level are to do with how the person contributes and fits in with the wider whole. This could be at the level of vision or spirit. It's about what the person sees as their purpose. So mentoring issues in this category would be about what the person sees as their purpose in being in the role that they think of themselves as taking on. For example, what is their purpose in the organisation? Or what is their purpose in life? So at each level there are different questions, and as you go up the levels, then you become more and more abstract and include more and more. At the environmental level, the question is where and when. At behavioural level, the question is what. At the capability level, the question is how. At the values and beliefs level, the question is why. At identity, the question is who. And at the vision level, the question is for whom or for what. So these are the levels, and the thing to consider next is how do they help with mentoring? In mentoring, the levels can help you help the client solve problems. Albert Einstein said that you can't solve a problem at the level at which it was created. For change to be sustainable, you want to bring about change at a level of the problem or above. So when you're mentoring, you may want to ask yourself, at what level is this problem? And then look to work with the person, at least at the level of the problem or the levels above. And then help the person think about what they'll want to do in order to bring about change at all the other levels and bring those into alignment. I remember working with a team, and they had been charged with changing the way they worked in a significant way. And when I spoke to them, they were concerned about a lot of things to do with change, about how they would be able to do the things that they'd been asked to do, how they could organise the way they worked, what training they would need. But the thing that struck me was the number of times I heard a comment that went along the lines of, well, we've had loads of these changes and they're just fads and they never work. And I knew that unless I addressed this belief, that it would make no difference how much we brought in new ways of working, new processes, how much development they got, nothing was going to change. Once that belief had been changed, and in fact, in this case, we established a new identity for the team, then we could start to address the levels below and think about how they wanted to change the environment, the behaviour, and the capability to fit in with their new beliefs and identity. So there is an example of how the levels can help you decide at what level you want to intervene to help bring about change. Here's an exercise to help you think about how you can use logical levels in mentoring. So first of all, how could you use logical levels when you're helping someone set outcomes? How could you use logical levels when you're identifying the problem? And how would you use this model to evaluate success in mentoring? So with the outcome, you can take the outcome that someone wants and, starting at the environment level, ask questions about each of the levels in relation to the outcome. For example, for this outcome that you want, what's important about where you do this and when you do it? What things outside of yourself will be important to consider? What will you want to do differently to achieve this outcome? What different approaches will you want to use? What skills and capabilities will you want to achieve this outcome? How will you get them? What skills and capabilities do you already have? How can you use them more effectively? What is important to you about this outcome? What beliefs do you have that will make it easier for you to achieve it? What are the barriers that are currently limiting you? What are you believing now that will allow you to overcome these barriers? Who will you be when you have achieved this outcome? And how does this outcome contribute to everything else? For what purpose for you are you setting this outcome? For evaluating the mentoring, then you might think of ways that you can evaluate at all the levels. For example, what impact has the mentoring had on the external environment? What impact has it had on this person's behaviours, on their capabilities, on the values and beliefs that they hold? What does the person, team or organisation now think that they are? How does the person, team or organisation contribute to everything else?